There are the two, drinking their reward in the world of their own works, entered into the cave, dwelling on the highest summit. Those who know Brahman call them shade and light. Likewise, those householders who perform the Nakiketa sacrifice. May we be able to master that Nakiketa rite, which is a bridge for sacrificers. Also that which is the highest imperishable Brahman, for those who wish to cross over to the fearless shore. Know the self to be sitting in the chariot, the body to be the chariot, the intellect the charioteer, and the minds the reins. The senses they call the horses, the objects of the senses their roads. When the highest self is in union with the body, the senses, and the mind, then the wise people call him the enjoyer. He who has no understanding, and whose mind is never firmly held, his senses are unmanageable, like the vicious horses of a charioteer. But he who has understanding, and whose mind is always firmly held, his senses are under control, like the good horses of a charioteer. He who has no understanding, who is unmindful and always impure, never reaches that place, but enters into the round of births. But he who has understanding, who is mindful and always pure, reaches indeed that place from whence he is not born again. But he who has understanding for his charioteer, and who holds the reins of the mind, he reaches the end of his journey, and that is the highest place of Vishnu. Beyond the senses there are the objects. Beyond the objects there is the mind. Beyond the mind there is the intellect. The great self is beyond the intellect. Beyond the great there is the undeveloped. Beyond the undeveloped there is the person. Beyond the person there is nothing. This is the goal, the highest road. That self is hidden in all beings, and does not shine forth, but it is seen by subtle seers through their sharp and subtle intellect. A wise man should keep down speech and mind. He should keep them within the self, which is knowledge. He should keep knowledge within the self, which is the great. He should keep that within the self, which is the quiet. Rise, awake. Having obtained your boons, understand them. The sharp edge of a razor is difficult to pass over. Thus the wise say, the path is hard. He who has perceived that which is without sound, without touch, without form, without decay, without taste, eternal, without smell, beyond beginning, without end, beyond the great, and unchangeable, is freed from the jaws of death. A wise man who has repeated or heard the story of Nakiketas told by death is magnified in the world of Brahman. And he who repeats this greatest mystery in an assembly, or full of devotion at the time of the Shardara sacrifice, obtains thereby infinite rewards.